channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Thank you so much for being here. Today we are continuing with the series on how did you become an interior designer. I don't know what these hands were. I feel very swaggy today. Anyways, today we are chatting and actually mostly lulling our way through this interview with a residential interior designer, Kaya, from Kavara Home Styling. We met through social media. Again, the same old story. Started chatting, started sending DMs, and straight away we just connected on some weird level. Even though she's more focused on residential design and I'm more of a commercial designer, we just seem to have the same kinds of values and on business and personal development. So I thought it would be amazing to share her story because she's an absolute legend. Actually, her story I think will be relatable to a lot of people at this point in time because she has not got a background in interior design. She actually had a very successful corporate career which she ended up giving up for her dream. She went for the big leap even though she's got two beautiful daughters at home and a lovely husband who supported her throughout the way, which is so funny. Kaya's husband, you deserve all the brownie points. Honestly, you will see through the interview, you'll hear it for yourself. It's hilarious. So I hope this is inspiring. I hope you can laugh along the way with us. We definitely have had plenty of giggles, and again, it's a long one, so go grab a cup of tea, wine, whatever you need to go through this, or just put this on the background whilst you're doing some work, and yeah, just enjoy the conversation. If you have any questions, comments, anything, just make sure you leave them down in the comment section below. I will also link all Kaya's contact details in the description box below, so go and check her out on Instagram. Okay, without further ado, let's crack on with the video. So, first of all, if you could just introduce yourself, your name, I don't know, where you're from, what you're doing, how long you've been doing this, and what sort of interiors do you usually do, or what your projects are like.
Sure. So my name is Kaya and I run Kavara Home Styling. I live in South East London and that's where I've always been from. But actually I was born and raised in Paris. So I'm French. My parents are Sri Lankans. Yes, I've been living here for a while now, 20 years. And my background was not in interior designing, which actually is one of the most common questions I get asked actually by other people who are considering, this field. I studied marketing and then I worked in digital media for a while in the city. And it was nothing to do with what I do now. So I was in, yeah.
You can
no,
I
used to work for a tech company that specialized in online video advertisement, and I used to look after publishers, so the likes of like CNN, News Corp, and all that kind of stuff, putting advertisement on their website and kind of making them money. In a nutshell, this is a very watered down explanation. So that's what I used to do. And although the world of it is creative, my role was not creative at all. I was crunching numbers all the time. I was looking at KPIs. I was looking at budgets and sale numbers.
That's completely different. Okay, I agree now.
Yeah. My role in it was nothing creative, So that's what I did. And that's actually what I wanted to do when I was younger. I wanted to go into marketing and that kind of fast-moving digital media marketing. And then what happened was, I started to have a family. That was the first thing. And then as a family, we purchased a house and it was a rundown property. So my husband and I were very aware of what we were doing and we wanted a project. So we took it up, and at the time I wasn't working. So between my first child and my second child, I had kind of given up work to look after my first one beyond my maternity. And I was pregnant with number two. People think I'm crazy about, I'm really crazy doing all this, but I was pregnant with number two.
Women can do anything. I keep saying that.
Yeah, honestly.
It's not going to stop us.
So pregnant with number two, we buy this house. We've got a toddler in our hands as well, and it's a massive project. And we take it on. I project manage it. As builders, I think builders were here for about 7, 8, 9 months, if I remember right, because it was a really big one. And then I gave birth to my second one, and builders were finished. And I was like, right, let's get to the interesting stuff, right? Let's get to the exciting stuff that I've been looking forward to. Did you know by then my husband and I were a bit older, we had a bit more money than we did with our first property, so there was going to be a bit more, you know, creative freedom here, and it's a forever home, all that kind of stuff. Super excited. And then I get hugely overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my gosh, we came from a 2-bedroom apartment to a complete family home, you know, with more bedrooms and more spaces, and nothing really, pretty much nothing that we bought from our apartment, which, you know, hardly anything, we left a lot of stuff behind, was going to work in this home. And equally, I secretly didn't want it to work anyway. I wanted to,
you just went on, I
just told him it's not going to work. And but I, although I was so excited and I'd been looking forward to it for months, when it came to it, I was completely overwhelmed because, well, so many reasons. One is a much bigger property than I was used to. 2, I had now 2 very young children. My husband was, you know, obviously working, but after we finished the renovations, a few months after that, whilst I was feeling very overwhelmed, I returned back to work as well. So, you know, it's full swing, young family, parents working, children in childcare and all of that. And it just hurt my heart that we done so much to this property and we want to live our best life in there, and we were just not getting on with it. And, you know, my husband wants to go to see the sofas, you know, in the shops, which I want to see them as well. But then we end up going to, like, you know, so many different shops over so many weekends, end up arguing over it. And that's just for one piece in the house, you know. It's like a nightmare, honestly. And it just wasn't. And, you know, we're very involved with everything. Like, the 2 of us bounce things off each other. We won't just go and, you know, make a decision and buy something and come back. Like, even our mugs, we buy them together. So it was just really hard. And then I thought, okay, do you know what? We need professional help. So I invited around a number of interior designers from the area and slightly further out as well. And mind, this was in 2014, 2015. So obviously things have changed a lot, even in that short period of time of 5 years. But back then, it was more the traditional interior designers, you know, who've been established, who've got a big studio, who've, you know, going. So I invited a few around, and I was really disappointed because they all expected a minimum of sort of £20,000 per room budget, right? Me and my husband are very much high street kids. Like, you know, with, like, in everything and anything that we do is very much high street as opposed to high end. So they wanted huge budgets. Therefore, of course, their fees were going to be very reflective of that. And then no one really asked us, what is it you really like? What is it that you really want? What are your tastes? What are your styles? You know, how do you want to? No one asked us any of that stuff. Wow. And we were like, oh my gosh, like, no way. Yeah, I was like, no way, especially when you've got personal interest in interior designing, no way could I hand over that control, you know, like that, and then end up walking into a place where we don't feel at home. You know, there's no way we were going to do that. So we decided we won't go ahead with professional help, and then we took so much longer, but we eventually did it ourselves. But we did it well, but it just took us so long to do it because we were working full time and all the rest of it on the side. And then, as you do, you invite an estate agent around or two to value your property, because, you know, especially with the extension and renovation we did, we wanted to know how much equity we've gathered in here. And they were like, oh, so who did your interior? We were like, no, we did. Like, I did it. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, where's this from? And where's that from? And we were like, where's that light from? Like, IKEA. They're like, what? And they were like, where's the sofa from? DFS. And they're like, really? And we're like, yeah. And they just really, like, it was a nice compliment that, you know, they thought it was from other places, not the conventional places.
They've seen stuff around, you know, they walk from home to home day in,
yeah,
day out, don't they?
Yeah. So at that time, you know, the universe also kind of came together, whereby,
Oh,
yeah, you know, me and you love the universe, right?
give it to us.
So the universe has a funny way of telling you certain things. Sorry, my kid, she's calling for her dad. I'm sorry. Can I just get? I forgot to shut the door. Let me just quickly go shut the door. I'm so sorry. It's a good thing we recorded. I'm so sorry. Have kids.
It sounded like they were, I don't know, someone was hurting them.
Daddy! And of course, Daddy's not hearing it. Anyways, and so the universe has this funny way of saying, listen, girl, this is not for you. There is something else for you, right? So as all this with the estate agents and stuff was happening, you know, as the house was finished, and I had been back to work for probably about 10, 11 months by then. And I was like, work is not working out. Like, I was very miserable, actually. It really wasn't working out on so many different levels. Like, I'd lost my love and passion for it, which, you know, something that I loved before. I think the reason being is because my priorities changed hugely after having family. I changed as a person after, you know, becoming a mother. So many things that I didn't value before became so important to me, such as my time with my family, my freedom, you know, my progression, like so much of it. Equally, I felt like I became a new person because I didn't know I had an interest in interiors until I did my own home, you know. So I was at a crossroad, and I was like, and also my parents were always self-employed, like since I was really young. So running a business is not alien to my life, if that makes sense. Like, there was no real difference between home life and business life with my parents. It was all kind of integrated. So I grew up in that kind of environment. Yeah, it's all a bit muddy. They worked 5 minutes from the house, for example, so it was always in between and all that kind of stuff. So I knew in the bottom of my heart that one day I'll start a business, but I genuinely didn't think it was when my family was really young. I thought it was like when my kids have grown up and they've flown the nest, I've got less risk to take. I'll try it out. I'll be a bit wiser by then, you know, and a bit more mature by then. I won't have much to lose because, you know, my kids have been grown by then. But, you know, that whole entrepreneurial thing was somewhere always lingering as well. So that crossroad, I was really in agony, actually, because I'd pumped so much into my career. So it felt like at the time, gosh, am I really going to throw this out the window? But I knew it wasn't working with the family. Like, I had to travel so much. My kids were like, our kids were spending so much time at childcare more than with us. Like, we were waiting for Friday night Friday evenings to live, to feel alive. Like, that wasn't the kind of life that I wanted to lead. And that certainly was never the kind of mother I wanted to be either. I've always wanted to be very present and very involved with the kids whilst they grow up. You've only got so many years, I feel, you know. So my husband was like, well, why don't you just leave and start your own business? I was like, sorry. And he was like, there's no denial one day you will. Like, you're fascinated over anyone else who runs their business anyway. And I was like, what would I do? And he was like, what do you mean, what would you do? Like, you'd go into interiors. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah. And it was never a thing in my head until he switched on the light.
What a babe, what a legend.
And then I was like, no, I can't do that. Why not? And he was like, literally, this was me. But what about my salary? What about all these years that I've like put in there? Like, I don't even know what to do, because obviously my background wasn't in this to do as a business, you know, like, it's very different from having a passion to go into as a business. And he was just like, stop, like,
Just do it.
Yeah, are you gonna really carry on working in the state you're in right now and then regret it one day? And he was just like, if not now, whilst the kids are actually young, so that you can work in your own terms, do your own hours and pick the jobs that you want to do, when are you going to do that? Exactly. And I was like, I've just been told. So yeah, it still took me about a good 3 months to convince myself to talk to me and be like, you can do this. And then I knew I couldn't do it on the side because I just didn't have the energy to do that with a full-time job and 2 kids. And in the midst of all of this, my eldest has, you know, health conditions that we have to deal with as well. So life was really full on at the time. So I knew I could never do this on the side. So I decided to leave, and I left. We did our maths, you know, we were like, right, you know, financially we can afford to be out of that for this long, and la la la. And I left. But when I left, you know, you kind of, you know, anyone who's in business will tell you, like, business is more of a personal journey than anything else. Even for you to land one client or your 100th client or whatever, it is a personal thing, because if you don't work on your self-belief and your confidence and all the rest of it, your inner self, honestly, like, no Facebook ads, no Google ads is going to bring you much. Basically,
you can't just become a business woman overnight.
No.
It's a process. It's like failure, winning, failing, winning again, learning things, picking things up.
Definitely. It's a huge journey, even at this stage. Like, I feel like you know, my journey has only started. I feel like that I've been brewing on, like, I've been officially in business for just under 2 years. I left my full-time job 3 years ago, but it's been in my head, say, 3.5 years, you know, and it feels like because it's in my head all the time, I feel like it's part of me. Like, what did I think about? What did I do before this? It's a huge internal job. So when I left my career, I knew I couldn't go into it immediately because I personally myself wasn't ready for it. So I said to my husband, right, okay, fine, I'm going to leave. I'm going to start this, but not immediately, for 2 reasons. Because one, I'm not ready. And 2, also, I felt like I missed out on my children quite a bit whilst I was in my career. And they were still really young. They were not in school at the time. And there was going to be another year before my eldest went to school. So I was like, I want to spend my time with them before they go to school. Because once they go to school, you know, they go to school, they'll see you later. And well,
apart from the coronavirus, when that
oh yeah, of course. Of course, bring it all back together. So I was like, I don't want to feel like I've missed out on anything else in their lives. So I'm going to take my time. So it was a year before she went to school, and my youngest, her sister, is exactly a year behind her at school. So I really enjoyed my time with the children. In that time, we also had a great opportunity to move to New York short term through my husband's work. So we did that as a family. We did huge amounts. You know, as a mom, like, I went to every farm, every park, every landmark with my kids during the weekdays.
Like, you got all that, like, just saturated in one little
I was like, I'm not missing a beat anymore, especially not for a boss or, like, you know, a company of someone else, or, you know, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I mean, I left really upset, of course, and you know, I'm sure it shows on me, but I was just like, right, I'm taking control of my life. Okay, I'm done with, like, having excuses. I'm done making stories in my head. I'm done. If I'm sad about the time I've missed out with them, you know, in the time that I went back to work after having them, then I'm going to make it up to it. That's as simple as it is. So I took a year, but it doesn't go without saying that in that year that I took off, the business was brewing in the mind. Like, you know, once you make even a semi decision to start your own business, it keeps going in your head. You don't switch off from it. So it was always in the head. And then towards the end tail of that year, I took up, you know, without working, I started to slowly put things in place for the business, such as very slowly building a website, you know, writing my copies, learning. All of that goes with a lot of learning, right? So learning all of that and then doing that, you know, learning about different marketing, you know, avenues and strategies and branding, and
like, there's all that, don't you? As a business owner, you just like, here's all that information. By the way, you need to do the creative work, and then
Well, I always say, as a lot of people, I'm sure, like you get, who approach me and say, oh, like, how did you get started? Like, I'd love to go into this. Have you got any advice? And I'm really raw with them, because I didn't know anyone who I could approach, or never did before going into this. So I always want to paint a real picture. It's, you know, at the very beginning, especially, it's 99% business and then 1% client work. That's what it is. And you just don't even know how long that kind of, balance is for.
I don't think it ever evens out. I don't think it's ever in balance. It's always like, I feel the emotional satisfaction from doing the creative stuff, even if it's like tiny little bit of your time. It's like, oh yes, I'm charged.
This is what I did.
Ready
Yeah.
for business now.
So, over time, what you put into your business is what comes out of it in terms of client work, creativity, freedom, and, what you produce, right? But at the very beginning, you're not going to, I was really silly enough to think you're going to laugh. Yeah. I took months to build a website on WordPress. Now, anyone who knows WordPress knows it doesn't take months. It's just because I've never built a website before. And I've got 2 kids to juggle full time as well. So it took me months to do it. Because it took me months to do it, I've come a long way, come to think about it. But because it took me months to do it, when I set it live, I was like, and I was watching my phone if it would ring, and it wasn't ringing.
What's out there? How are people not ringing me?
I was upset. I was like, what? It's been on for like 2 hours. Oh, the naivety. I was so naive.
Because honestly, I did such similar thing. I set up my website, and then I did like a day of leaving flyers out and doing that kind of a thing. And I came back home that day, and I remember I was making pancakes. It was a Sunday morning. I was like, oh my God, yes. And then, you get little notifications when someone goes on your website. At least it was then. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, someone's visited my website. Oh, it's going to bring you business. No.
No, it doesn't quite work like that, does it? But yeah, like I was disappointed just 2 hours after setting my website live. I did the flyer thing, and I was like, and flyers are expensive because I'm predominantly about digital media. I'm biased, I know, but I am. But I have tried traditional marketing as well, and traditional marketing can cost a fair amount of money compared to digital marketing. Yeah. So when you print all these flyers and then you physically take time to go and distribute and put them up in places, and then nothing happens, you're like, what?
Why? I'm so good. Why is no one hiring me? What's wrong with them?
But it's the naivety of it, because it takes so much to even get to the point where you get a flyer out or put your website live. You think surely all this hard work, is going to shine through. Actually, there's a big difference between putting a message together and then taking that message in front of your right audience who are going to buy from you. It's 2 different things,
And then there's a funnel that you need to get through to an actual paying client.
Yeah.
So and you learned all the hard way. You went through it all on your own yourself. But tell us about how you actually learned to do design, and because obviously you did your own house, which is great, but then there's software and all kinds of things that you need to know, building regulations and things like that. How did you go about that side?
So just to let you know, I predominantly work on residential properties. So my typical clients are usually young families, but I have had retirees, I've had single parents, I've had bachelors, but
what's interesting?
What's that?
It's always bachelors. People designers always say bachelors.
It's a good market.
Young, independent, strong women. It's always the bachelors that are asking for help.
It's not really always their remit to make their home really nice, and they don't really have the time, but they've got the money to do it. So it kind of makes sense, right? So this kind of stuff that you've mentioned, the logistics, the legals, the design, the professional design, all that stuff used to keep me up at night, actually. And that time that I took between deciding I wanted to do this to actually resigning my job, these were the things that kept me up at night, as like, how would I do it if I left my job to do this? But I was like, do you know what, I'm going to do it somewhere, somehow. I'm going to go for it. And I launched the business. And then I was obviously still awake because I thought my phone could ring any moment, and I'm kind of blagging this. I don't know how to do so many things for another
Oh,
person.
love it. Love
For
it.
another person. And honestly used to keep me up at night to a point I'd wake up my husband and be like, hold on, you know, like if I'm the one ordering all the furniture, what like, do I get it ordered to our house and then we take it all over? Do we get a warehouse? Do we get it? Oh my God, like so much. I'm like, at one point I woke him up, and he works in the insurance industry. I wake him up and I'm like, do I need insurance for my business? And he was like, yes. But I was so much, honestly, Cynthia. But I was very lucky to stumble across a lady called Jo Kroback, and I will sing her praises till the end of the day. So I'm gonna say, Jo is a architect and interior designer by trade, and maybe 3 years ago, she launched her own course for people who wanted to become interior designers. And she teaches online, and she has students from all over the world, and she does not cover the pretty stuff of interior designing because anyone is selective. She picks people to come into her course, not just anyone can join it. Well, that was the case when I did it anyway. And so anyone she takes on, she believes they've got a talent and a natural eye for it. So she concentrates.
Do you have to send anything like I don't know,
she sees
or a test or something?
There's definitely like an informal chat interview kind of thing.
Okay,
She sees what you've done before. You know, there's loads of ways of sussing out people's, you know, aesthetic talents online now. You know, people are posting things. But because she doesn't cover the pretty stuff, like the majority of her course is pretty much about how to run it as a business, which is what I needed. Like, not to sound arrogant, but I was like, I've got my own style. I don't really need someone to teach me, you know, what colors go with what patterns goes with what. For that, I could go to a college or, you know, like an institute of interior designers, right? And go and do something quite formal. I was like, no, I haven't got time for that. I'm too old for that. I just need to kind of get going. And also, we're lucky that I just like, you know, but we're lucky enough that in the UK, we don't have to be formally qualified interior designers. Like loads of other countries, loads of states in the US, you have to, right? It's like being an architect, you have to be qualified. Whereas here, you know, there's leeway. So I was like, hold on, if there is, then I'm not going to spend 3 years going back to a college or any kind of formal education for it. So Jo's course was excellent for me at the time. She basically teaches everything from ground zero to get you up and going. So everyone's on the same level, you know, everyone's hardly ever done any kind of business in interior designing. They will want to, or they've just about put their feet into it like I did. And basically it's like a 90-day course. It's intense. It's a lot of hard work.
90 days. So
90 days, 3 months.
3 months. And
3
how
months.
did you feel at the end of it? Did you feel like, yes, I can go for it now. I know it all.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I know it all. I would still not say I know it all. I don't think I ever will say I know it all. But so I'm not sure she does this anymore. So don't quote me on this. But back then, one of her unofficial promises was that at the end of these 90 days, you will have a paying client, because I will get you ready and out there to gain that, to have that win. I had my first paying client just before those 90 days.
Hey,
you got to do the work though. It's not a magic wand, right? So whatever she's teaching you, you've got to learn it. You've got to apply it. And there's many times in that course I cried thinking, I can't do this. This is so hard, especially as a grown adult. Going back to studying, first of all, is really hard. But two, she's of course covering things that I've never even thought about. Like, so the technical drawings, you know, using SketchUp, all of that, you know, she covers a bit of architectural stuff, you know, all of that. Like, you know, I was in my bubble before the course, you know. I was like, I never thought I really needed all that stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you need to know all of this. You need to do this. You need to do that. Of course, what you do with it later is up to you, but you need to have that foundation. So it wasn't easy, but it did get my business off the ground. She accelerated my gains in my business, my growth in my business, the development of my business, probably by 3 years in that space of 3 months.
That's great. In such a short term.
yeah, it would have taken so much time and mistakes and heartaches and possibly a loss of confidence, and maybe people would have even given up if they had to figure all of that out by themselves,
Yeah.
you know, in that journey. But when you've got someone experienced teaching you in a certain way, she's also a qualified coach, so she's got, you know, the personable skills as well.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So she definitely accelerated my business quite a bit. Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's how I started. I'm a firm believer in mentors. So
Yeah.
she was a great one.
That's amazing. And then after, like, when you finished that course and like up to now today, have you been taking on any extra courses? Have you been learning any extra things, you know, kind of
Yeah.
developing your
Yeah.
skill set, I guess?
Always. My husband laughs actually, like, oh, someone sells a course online and you're on it. And I'm like, no, wait. My husband's not really into social media of any kind. And I'm like, wait, I see 1,000 of them before I decide on one. And I've never wasted my money. Thank you very much. Yeah, learning goes on. I think I think the day I stop wanting to learn is the day I've reached a roof, my ceiling. I don't ever want to be there anytime soon.
Yeah.
I have taken a number of smaller courses for specific subjects. So, for example, I think it was about December, but probably about 4, 5, 6 months ago, I enrolled in a much smaller course, quicker course, which is about, email marketing with Sarah Kasumbi, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a 4-week thing, very, go, get you up and going. So I think, if you don't have a business background, there's so much you won't know. You can try and sit there and try and figure it out for yourself with all these free YouTube videos and, Skillshare stuff and PDFs that people give you. You can do it that way. Or you can pay a little bit of money and learn it from someone in a much quicker way and effective way with accountability attached to it.
Yeah,
that's right. So so that was one example for email marketing. Like I've done some stuff with Instagram. So these are small, like, bits of my businesses that I'm trying to improve myself on. I did do very recently a much bigger course for a much bigger picture with someone called Salima Mamdi, who's based in Canada. So she is, I would say, like the next step from Joe's course. She takes on interior designers who've had some experience already. So experienced interior designers who want to take their business to the next level. So she doesn't take anyone who's just starting out. You need to have had experienced clients and all of that. And there's a very good reason for that, because her course concentrates on you becoming the expert at what you offer. So therefore she encourages you to develop a signature service that you really own. Mm-hmm. Correct. So you become that go-to person if someone needs that thing. And therefore, you kind of eliminate a lot of, noise around. And with that, once you develop that in her course, then you develop a whole marketing strategy to go with it. So,
amazing. So have you finished that course now? Yeah,
I finished it probably about 4 weeks ago. Okay. So it's a bit unfortunate this whole lockdown and COVID kicked in. But obviously she bless Salima, she's amazing. She's a phenomenal mentor, and she was like, I can't believe this COVID thing just kicked in when, like, you guys are about to finish. And we were like, it's fine. But again, her background is that for years she used to run a marketing agency that worked with suppliers who marketed to interior designers. She was on the other side.
Yeah.
So, like, bathroom suppliers, tile suppliers, kitchen suppliers. She used to have a whole agency that helped with their marketing. So therefore, she for 10 years got to really understand interior designers, because that's who they were marketing to.
That's a completely different viewpoint, isn't it?
So she's like gone like this.
Learned it all, and she knows all the angles. That's amazing.
She got into the heads of interior designers for 10 years in order to market these suppliers to them. And now she's helping interior designers, reach out to their market, because she saw a gap in the market, and again, she takes on interior designer students, like, for her course on a global level. A lot of people are obviously Americans and, North Americans, Canada and America, but she's definitely getting a lot of European and Asian people, really. So yeah, she's like a big marketing, like, knows how to do marketing, basically. He knows his stuff.
So you are basically, you're picking up mentors here and there to guide you through this process.
Yeah. And you got to pick the right mentor at the right stage you're at. You and your business is two different things, okay? You as a person needs to be ready, and your business has to be in a certain place to get the right fit of courses as well, mentors as well. Otherwise, you're really wasting your money and time if you get the wrong fit.
I think that's such a good point that you've just said it, that it's two different things. You need to be at a certain level and your business needs to be at a certain level. And when I went out on my freelance self-employed journey as well, I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of it. I was like, I'm just going to start something. It's going to be fun.
Good. Sometimes that's the best way.
And yeah, I think it does. It takes a little bit of naivety to start something and just take the leap. But soon enough, I realized that, okay, there's this other side of things that I had no idea about. And then at what level am I? I need to develop my skills as well, not just the creative side, but the business side. And that is something I think when people start their own business, a lot of people don't know.
No.
You figure it out one way or the other, don't you?
You do. You get into it and then you start, you figure it out. And I think I'd be very surprised in my life if I go on any other journey the way this motherhood and like the entrepreneurial journey has put me on. Like these two journeys of my life, I've like fully rediscovered myself, reconstructed myself, rebuilt myself in a new way in both of these lives. A lot of people become mothers, not as many people become entrepreneurs. The whole entrepreneurial thing, it's all in here. You don't even bounce it off with your partner. Well, you might bounce it off with a partner, but they might really not fully get it. They can't even share the workload. It's really yours, unless you're a business partner with them.
Yeah, and it has to be like a chosen one who gets it.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's a very, very personal journey. And I think that actually between you and the business, the priority is you. Because if your mind frame is not in the right place, and it can't be in the right place 24/7, don't take me wrong, but when you dip down, if you can't pick yourself up again, you'll crumble very quickly. And therefore, if you crumble quickly, of course, your business will crumble very quickly behind you. So you're definitely the priority in picking up, talking to yourself kindly, teaching yourself, nurturing yourself in order for your business to then flourish from there on.
So 2 years. Woo!
Coming up in September, it'll be 2 years. Yeah, I can't believe it.
What a journey you've had already so far, and it's only the beginning.
Yeah,
it's gonna be mental. It's gonna be crazy for you. What would you say? What sort of advice, maybe a quick one, that you would give that someone's remembering yourself, sitting there at night, waking up with cold sweat and thinking, do I need a warehouse and do I need to make pre-orders? What sort of advice would you pass on to someone, whatever life stage they are at, they just want to start a career in interior design?
I think we live in very lucky times to start being an interior designer, going self-employed, because if you think about it, even 5 years ago when I was doing our house, there was a huge lack of anything I needed in this field, right, as a customer, as a client. But then today I look at it, there's so many people becoming interior designers and they're doing really well as well. Any questions you have, someone's got the answer for you. It's out there, okay? We live in the world of internet. We live in the world of connectivity with people. Like, don't be afraid to go and DM someone. Don't be afraid to go and Google something and get your answers, because I'm part of so many Facebook community groups for women, like business supports and this, that, and the other. If I don't know the answer, I've learned not to sweat it. I'm like, I'm really sorry to sound dumb, but can someone please enlighten me? Like, this button is not working on my website. What do I do? It's like 10 people who jump in. Yeah, I don't even know them. They don't know me. And, like, we live in a day and age where answers are out there. And, don't believe everything and everyone is evil. There's actually so many people willing to give their time and effort and, whatever it is to help you out, even if it's like a quick question you have and you don't need to pay for it,
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I would say is that there is room in here for everyone, okay? There really is. There really is. Don't think, oh, because you know, on social media there's something called algorithm that shows you things that it knows you're interested in. So if you're interested in interior designing, and like, you know, your algorithm starts showing you a load of people who are already doing it, and all of the people you follow are interior designers, that does not mean there's no space for you. Okay, you are going to be good at something, and you're going to hopefully learn to express that out to the world, and the people who will appreciate that will come to you as clients.
Yeah.
Okay, there is space for everyone. I don't believe in, you know, the whole hardcore competition there used to be back in the days, and, you know, trying to be like all shady about things. I don't believe in that at all, because I really think there's space for everyone. And because a few of us did think that, I think, you know, this generation of interior designers are changing the industry so much. There are still, of course, the traditional interior designers, the high-end posh guys who do like properties that are 5 million plus, but there are so many others who do the complete opposite. Like, I don't do high-end. Like, I'm known for retail, you know, high street and online vendors. I don't do anything high-end, you know, and that's because, like, there's more demand for people like us, and there's more willingness from people like us to provide that service as well. So there is space for everyone. Don't get intimidated by a load of women who are already doing this.
Yes, definitely space for everyone, and you're gonna put your own twist to it. I think
You are.
There's a completely different vibe to completely different people, and
you'll
connect to the right people. You will find your tribe, almost the ideal.
You will. You will. At the end of the day, no matter how gorgeous you make a home, right? No matter what skills you have in interior designing, you and the client needs to click first for them to even trust you with it, and to come and give them, you know, come and appoint you. You're really selling yourself first, and then your skills.
I always say it's a people's business. People buy from people. You know, it's a heart-to-heart kind of conversation.
It is.
That's a corporate kind of a mental thinking, when people think, oh, it's just how it looks and how great and what the portfolio is like. Actually, below that surface, there's drinks after work, there's meals, there's taking out. People are doing favors here and there, sending on holidays and paying for things. You know, that's business. And once you are faced with it on your own, you realize that, oh, actually, let's meet up in a cafe. There's a lovely cafe down the road.
Absolutely. It is a people's business. It really is a people's business. I mean, look, why didn't I appoint those interior designers who came through my door? Because we didn't connect.
It wasn't your kind of a cup of tea there.
No, it wasn't. And I was like, no, thank you. But if, you know, you sell yourself, and there's always going to be people who like you enough to come and trust you enough with it, you know?
Oh, amazing. Oh, this is so good. I think we've not had a chance to catch up in ages as well.
So I know. It's been a while, hasn't it?
What you've been up to, and like all this, you know, the personal development stuff has, again, like given me a buzz, and I'm like, okay, what can I do?
We should arrange a call. Honestly, you always bring so much positivity, and you kind of lift me up. So let's do a call.
I miss that. When people ask me like, how are you doing during this time, and I just say, I miss people. I miss people, because I come alive when I have people around me, and you know, I love my husband, but
or your dog, or your kids, you know.
It's been lovely. Thank you.
It's been really great. Thank you.
I'm going to leave all your like connections, your website, and your Instagram and things like that down in the description. And hopefully see you soon on another collaboration. You never know.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been an honour. Thank you so much, Cynthia. I really appreciate it.